Awesome. Awesome. All right, I want to talk, got a lot of kind of strategic ideas for you today. Let's start off. Everyone doing okay? Everyone got the right mindset for today?
Good morning. Yes.
Good morning. Okay. Jenny, I just sent you a little message a second ago. Did you see it?
Let me look.
Okay, text message.
Oh, please.
Okay. How's everyone feeling today?
Great.
Got it.
Okay. If you could please do that, that would be awesome. Andrew, I think, let me just double check one thing. You have the link for posting your, okay, yeah, I see your goals for this upcoming week. Awesome. All right. Morning, everybody. Andrew should be back in just a second, I'm assuming. Oops. All right, I want to give you a lot of ideas to think about for the weekend. Anyone have any super positive information they want to share? Any congratulations in order?
My meeting was canceled last night.
Was it rescheduled?
Not yet.
All right, don't let them forget about you now.
I won't. I asked her to please make sure that she allows me to talk to her before she thinks of signing with anyone else. And she said she definitely wants to go with me. She just needs to meet with a potential roommate first to see what the plan is. And I checked to see if she downloaded my app, and she did. So I think we're okay.
Okay, beautiful. Good job.
Thank you.
Okay, make sure
I
you
have
log.
a question.
Yes, ma'am.
When you send someone your app, do they have to, so the link that I have, they have to take another agent out and put me in. Is that the case? Is that what y'all are all doing?
Only if they've downloaded another agent's app.
Okay. So
But
I
if
need
they
to figure out where my app is. Okay.
If they have not downloaded an agent's app and it's the first time they've ever, logged into that that system or that app before, then your app already embeds you as the agent.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I'd like to add one more thing in case anybody has a need. I also looked on YouTube and found a couple of great videos of buyer consultation meetings that were put on by Keller Williams agents, and I found those helpful.
Would you post the links for those in the help group, please?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. If anyone finds anything like that, for a while we had a couple of people that were posting like morning motivational videos, and if there's a great audio book, I don't want to clutter the chat up too much with that stuff, but if you took the time to watch it and you got some good impact from it, I want to make sure that the rest of the community can learn from that. All right. Morning, Heather. Okay, I want to just start off with, don't forget Bold is today. Bold is 2 to 4 today. And thank you for all those that participated in Red Day. Okay. One thing I've been hearing a lot about on calls is this connection between commitment and confidence. Okay. I just want to talk about this idea for a second. Commitment and confidence. And one thing that they keep saying in a lot of these calls, leadership calls that I'm taking part, participating in, is this idea. Sorry.
Are you saying confidence or competence?
Confidence.
Okay, thank you.
One of the things that they keep saying is, and I'm not trying to scare anybody here, but there will be a lot of agents that do not make it through this, right? The turnover is already fairly high when it comes to this role, this opportunity, and coronavirus certainly ain't going to help. So one of the things that they're saying is to really take some time to say, am I in or am I out, right? Am I all in on real estate and making this thing work? Or am I just kind of sort of in? And those that are just sort of in, they're going to struggle. They're going to really struggle, because the effort that it takes to win in this environment is going to be, if you're not fully committed to doing the work, it's going to be a challenge. Okay. So what I want to, and I believe that everyone on this call appears to be fully committed. I just want you to take a moment to think, to confirm that. Okay. Because when you say that, I don't care what's going on in the marketplace. I don't care if there's a lot of listings or not a lot of listings. I don't care if people are afraid or not afraid. I don't care what happens in the unemployment market or the stock market or any of that kind of stuff. I am committed to using the real estate business as an opportunity to give my family and myself everything we desire. When you are committed in that form, your confidence begins to shine, right? Because you're committed to making sure that the experience for every buyer client of yours is going to be amazing. And the experience for every seller client that you experience is going to be amazing. And if you don't know the answer to something, you're going to look it up right away because you're committed to winning, right? So I want you to really examine that in your mind, your level of commitment, because if you're a 10 out of 10, you will make the calls you need to make, right? If you are 4 out of a 10, you will find every reason in the world to not make the calls. Okay. So whenever you feel your confidence waning, right, go back and examine your commitment, right? Why did I get in this thing in the first place? And how am I going to use this business as an opportunity to give myself and my family and those that depend on me everything they desire? Okay. When somebody questions, there's some new agents on the call. When somebody questions, if they ever question your experience, it is partially because you aren't expressing your confidence and your commitment, right? And if somebody, when somebody says, yeah, I'm a little worried you haven't had that many transactions, you're new, right? If you say, if you say to them, hey, I'm all in and I'm committed. I've got a coach. I'm part of the #1 training organization in the world. I got 230 agents in my office that are here to help me. I've got multiple agent mentors and I'm committed and I will not let you down, right? You say that with confidence, people start to treat you a little differently. Does that make sense?
Yes, the script practice has helped so much with Kathy. Like every morning we do it for 30 minutes. It helps so much.
That's actually not quite next on my list, but that's on my page for today for sure.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I can't believe how much more confident I feel after doing that.
So tell the group a little bit more about that. Prior to you working with Kathy, have you ever rehearsed scripts before? Have you ever practiced scripts before?
No, because I adamantly refuse to do so. I mean, like, I'm open to doing anything, but it just didn't sound like me when I would, read the script. I did do it in bold and I got a little bit more confident last time, but it just didn't feel like me. So I was,
So give me an example of a script that you hesitated to say before that now you believe is effective.
Well, what I would do is I would try to take a script that Keller Williams had taught me and I would just go off. Like I would always get off tangent. But Kathy has taught me to have one focal point about the phone call. And that's to get the appointment. Like get the appointment. That's it.
It's not get the listing, it's get the appointment.
Yeah, get
That's
the
right.
appointment.
Right, and when they say, "Oh, what's your commission rate?" Say, "There's, there are times where commissions can, fluctuate, and that's something that we can certainly talk about when we meet."
Yeah.
Oh well.
So, I mean, just like
marketing package look like. And obviously, marketing is going to be an important part of selling the home. That's something we can certainly talk about when we meet.
And it's just helped. Like all those things roll off your tongue, Bill, but some of us they don't. But after practicing with Kathy, I can see how it'll just roll off my tongue. Eventually.
That is awesome.
Right now.
That is awesome. So I was on a thing I was listening to a thing this morning, and it was talking about how Olympic athletes prepare, right? If you want to be a champion and you're committed and you're all in and you want to win and you're going to do everything it takes to win, do you know how much time that Olympic athletes train and prepare and practice? I'm not suggesting we go become, maybe, I'm not going to tell you not to, trained to be an Olympic real estate agent, but ask yourself, are you doing what's necessary to become a successful professional athlete or professional real estate agent, right? What does your preparation look like, right? What does your practice look like? Here's the thing is we're going to say scripts anyway, right? We've talked about this a lot. Like, let's say that I'm totally opposed to scripts. Okay. And I go out into the marketplace and I speak to a bunch of buyers and they ask me questions like, what's the process like? How should I prepare? Blah, 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 blah. You're going to answer those questions exactly the same way over and over again. Same thing with sellers. So you've got a script.
That's right. I had a light bulb moment about that too. I heard myself saying the same thing, right. And it wasn't what Keller Williams told me to say. And I was like, I am literally saying a script.
Well, you are. You're saying the same thing. You've got a script. The question is your script rooted in a history of success? Has it been tested with, is it rooted in psychological theory, right?
Sometimes it would be, sometimes not. And that was the problem. I didn't recognize it. So doing the Keller Williams script, I recognize how much more successful that is.
And I'll give you an example. Those scripts, some of the bold scripts, for example, when you're doing your listing presentation and you show up at the door and let's say your appointment's for 3 o'clock and you're like, hey, it's 3 o'clock. We had a 3 o'clock appointment. I'm here. You're like, they all know it's 3 o'clock. I'm here. I don't need to make some grand announcement. The thing is there's a good chunk of the world that's high D's and don't want time wasted, right? So you just subtly told the seller that you do things on time, that you arrive on time and you honor commitments. You honor things that you told them you were going to do. So we had an appointment at 3. Here I am, 3, nice and dressed up and ready to go, right? Then you have that part in the listing presentation where you decide, well, we'll decide today whether you decide to hire me, and we'll also decide, and I'll decide if I am going to take your listing. And a high I would say, you wouldn't take my listing? You don't want to be my friend? Right? That's specifically designed for that moment, okay? Because they would say, well, under what circumstances would you not take my listing? You don't want to be my friend? And you say, well, you might want me to invest in marketing that I know will not help you sell your home, right? Or you might want me to, you might suggest a price that I know will not be successful. So under those circumstances, yes, we may not be partners. Right? And that sets that tone right there that says, look, I ain't here to just have a cup of coffee with you. I'm here to be a professional and to be your partner if you display the characteristics of an appropriate partner. Does that make sense? So that stuff is in there for a very, very specific reason. So you might say to yourself, well, that's not me. I'm not going to say that. Okay, well, if you decide to skip that part and the person across the table from you is the personality profile that part's in there for, you might have lost them right there.
I agree with that. I never would have said that, and now I say it.
Yeah, I remember there was a phrase in there that's like, at a weak time, I don't want you to pick a weak agent. And I read that, I'm like, I ain't never saying that. And you know what? I've said it a lot. I've said it a lot over time because a lot of agents are weak. Right?
Bill, in the YouTube, one of the YouTube videos that I watched yesterday with the Keller Williams agent kind of role playing the buyer consultation, one part of it was there are going to be, and I'm just kind of paraphrasing, but there were, she said there are going to be 3 outcomes from this meeting. You're going to decide that you want to work with me because you think that I'm going to do great things. You're going to decide that you don't want to work with me because you don't think I'm going to do great things. And I'm going to decide that maybe I don't want to work with you because maybe I don't think that I can meet your expectations. Or words to that effect.
Or that we're a good fit. I say that we need to decide if we're a good fit.
That's exactly right. And I love the when you start a meeting, hey, my goals for the meeting are blah 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 blah. Right? Straight to the point. My goal is not to talk to you about nothing for 45 minutes. My goal is to analyze a few things and go home to my family after paperwork is signed. Right? So for example, Donna, I think you might be frozen.
I could hear Donna, but she's frozen.
Yeah.
Bill, I have a question. When
Yeah.
you go to a listing presentation, do you take your computer and do a PowerPoint? Does it depend on who the client is? And do you have the paperwork there for them to sign electronically, or do you email it to them?
That's a really good question. I would say there's no like, you must do it this way kind of guideline. I always have the paperwork because if they're ready to sign it, I'm going to have them sign it in ink. And that'll
Okay.
be my version. If not, then I will leave it for them and then say, hey, I'll send this to you via the computer so you can get practice signing things online, right?
So I have
Yeah.
something also I can say about that. So my friend Jess, who's with Keller Williams, who actually got me to sign on with Keller Williams, she said that she never brings paperwork with her to a listing presentation, and it kind of makes them feel like it's not so I don't know, I guess it just makes it feel less like intimidating with the paperwork and stuff, and just talks it all. But she's probably has those scripts memorized pretty well. But
I'm not suggesting like walking into the meeting and saying like, okay guys, here's the paperwork, we're going to sign this soon. I'm suggesting you go in with a little binder or a little folder or something, and it's in there if it needs to come out.
oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good idea, like in a little something, and then it depends on who the client is too, like if they want numbers or not, or
Exactly. Yeah. So like there'd be, let's say like 10, 5 or 10 slides from Chartmasters that I would bring in. I'm not necessarily going to show them to them if the conversation goes in that direction. Oh, well, I want to price it this way first and then see what happens. Okay, out comes the sheet. Okay, I want to, not stage the home. Out comes the staging sheet, right? So there might be a couple of sheets that I've got ready and prepared when necessary to bring out. But there became a time where I would go to the listing appointment with basically just a pad of paper, right? And I knew exactly what I needed to know from them, meaning I knew which questions I was going to ask, right? And if you haven't memorized them, I don't think there's anything wrong with walking in there and saying, hey, this is such an important decision for you, and I take this so seriously that there are a number of questions that I've got to ask you, and I frankly just don't want to skip any. Okay.
I love that. That's
so
good.
I've got it right here.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm just going to run, if you don't mind, I'm just going to take some notes. Okay. So what that tells them, by the way, is if they're interviewing another agent and that other agent comes in without a pad of paper and a list of questions, then the subtlety there is that they're not prepared and that they don't take it as seriously as you do. Does that make sense?
That's great.
So it's all in, we're actors, guys. I'm not actors.
For sure.
Actors doesn't mean that we are being inauthentic. It just means that we're communication specialists. Like everything we communicate, if it's different than your competitor, there's subtleties that are involved in that, and we need to be aware of that. So when you show up at 4 o'clock on the dot or 3 o'clock on the dot, and the next guy that comes in is 5 minutes later doesn't kind of make that clear, that they overlook it. Make sense? And so the idea is don't be bashful. If you're new and you don't have this stuff memorized, go in there and say, hey, I take this super seriously. This is in most cases, this is the most expensive asset a family owns. I don't want to skip any questions. Is it okay if I take some notes today? Right?
I would appreciate that as a seller.
Me too. Me too. But I used to go into the listing presentations basically with just a pad of paper and run down that list of pre-qualification questions that I already asked them, right? And I had the scripts memorized anyway, so I'd go in and say, hey, goals for today are this, this, and this. I want to review the answers to some of the questions that I previously had asked you. Okay, I want to make sure that we're super, super clear on the motivation that we've discussed. Then I want to show you some comparables, right? And we can walk through each one of those together. So I've got those printed out, right, with pictures and the data, FMLS data page and all of that, so that we can go in and, the whole bold thing. Hey, have you been in this home? Are you familiar with this home? Because if you're going to start talking about a home that you've never been in yet, that's their best friend's home, or that's the home that they're, they have dinner every Friday night in, or that's the home that their kids play in, or that's the home they play poker in, or whatever. Like, don't go trying to tell them about a home they know more about it than you do. So you got to ask those questions, right? Are you familiar with this home? Have you ever been inside this home? Now, interestingly enough, that's another psychological issue. Because when you say, have you ever been in this home? Are you familiar with this home? It's the one, 2 streets over in the cul-de-sac. They say, no, I've never been in that home. And then you turn around right there and start talking in a professional, confident way about the home. What you're doing is you're telling them that you know about the home and they don't. So you just need to listen up, because I'm the expert here. See what I'm saying? So as you're displaying confidence and you're speaking in a very professional, calculated, rehearsed way, you become more and more of the expert as time goes on. Then when you say, well, after all of our research, it sounds like we've come to the conclusion that this home should be priced between $250 and $260. Where would you like to be? Let me explain to you why I think we should be at $250, right? Now, we also discussed that you were gonna paint these 3 rooms and hire the landscaper. And we know that that's probably gonna take a week or 2. So this is our target, but my job is to reevaluate the market for you every single day until we sign papers or until we go live. So if there's a new home that's more impressive than yours that comes on the market at $245, that's gonna impact our strategy. Okay, if there's a home that goes under contract that's less impressive than yours at $260, that's also gonna impact our strategy. But we're not just gonna put $250 on the sheet and sign it and go live in 2 weeks. A lot of stuff can happen in 2 weeks.
I like that, because that sets a precedent that things may change and that they need to be willing to change with them.
You're right. And it also combines you, it creates a team, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like this is our house, right?
That's right.
Like, I'm going to treat this and give you advice as if I owned it too. Okay. And this is the reason why I would follow this strategy. This is the reason why I would be reluctant to do that. This is the reason why I would recommend this. This is the reason why I would not recommend this. I mean, I remember going into people's homes and they're like, should I fix this? Should I fix this? Should I fix this? I'm like, no. The thing is you're going to put this home on the market and there's going to be 50 offers and you don't need to spend any of that money. Those were good days, weren't they, Kathy?
Yes.
That ain't the case anymore, right? There's a new kind of crop of buyers, and these buyers like a pretty home, right? And so you really need to be aware of that. Okay, I want to review. So the takeaway there is practicing and being committed, and therefore your confidence will be up. What I would like for you to do is focus over the next, I'm going to say the next week, and then we'll regroup, but it'll probably continue, on rehearsing and role-playing scripts, okay? The packet that I want you to start with is the agent pivot scripts. That is in the Google Drive, okay? The agent pivot scripts are largely about pricing and coronavirus and getting access to homes and checking in and text messages and these kind of things. I want you to know those scripts like the back of your hand, okay? I also want you to review the other script books in the Google Drive as well, so you can be completely comfortable dealing with the likely objections that you might get as you're courting a buyer and courting a seller, okay? I want you to train like you're an Olympian here, because the people that train the most and study the most and practice the most are the ones that are going to come out of this thing the winners, okay? They use the phrase the gift of the shift. When there's a shift, it's almost like this complete reorganization of everything, and it gives everyone that's doesn't have a huge track record or a huge amount of experience or their system's organized yet, it gives everyone a new chance. It gives everyone a new opportunity, right? So if you go and think about all the people that are real estate agents, okay, over half of the people that claim to be real estate agents have not sat at a closing in the last 12 months. Okay. I heard a statistic last night. I was watching something that said 3% of agents across the country, this is all brokerages, okay, 3% of agents will sell 25 or more homes per year. Okay. I believe every single person on this call can do it. I believe in every single person on this call. Okay. But 100% of the people selling 25 homes a year are preparing like professionals and are role playing and take it very seriously and have systems or creating systems that let nothing slip through the cracks. Make sense? Okay.
Yeah, because when you have that script, you don't have to think ahead. Like, it just comes natural, so you're not having to think of an answer and be defensive.
And there's another really important thing to piggyback on that concept of, is that when you're busy thinking about what you're going to say, you stop listening, or you're not as effective of a listener, right? So if you know what to say and it comes second nature to you and it's just there, right, then you don't have to, well, then what you can do is completely focus on what that person across from you is saying and what they're not saying and how they're saying it, right? And our job is to be great listeners so that we can hear a little change in the tone of their voice or the speed at which they're talking, or one thing they kind of just throw in there flippantly. And you say, wait, I just want to echo something back I think I just heard. Is it true that you just said boom, boom, boom? What does it mean? What does that mean to you? Why isn't it important that we have a pool in the backyard? Why is it important that we don't have a pool in the backyard? Whatever it is. Make sense? So the better you know what to say, the more you can focus on listening. And the more you listen, that means the more they're talking. And I will give you a rule that happens 100% of the time. 100% of the time. When you have a conversation with somebody and that conversation ends, the person who did the most talking feels the best about that conversation. Right? It's just how communication works. So if Andrew, me and you have a 30-minute conversation and I'm just asking some questions here and there and you're doing most of the talking, and I hear something and I say, hey, tell me more about that, or something of that nature, and you did 25 minutes of talking and I did 5 minutes of talking and we part ways, you're like, that Bill guy, man, I love that dude. And you can't put your finger on the fact that you did most of the talking. You just put the finger on the fact that you enjoyed that and you want to hang out with me more so you can do more talking, because people like talking.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I mean, I've noticed.
I love that.
I've learned that as well. You know, you want them to do most of the talking and you're doing a lot of the listening and figuring out what they want, really.
Exactly. And even more importantly than what they want is why they want it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. So I want to ask you this, two more things real fast. One is, how much pressure are you putting yourself under right now? Okay. We know from Bold that, damn, I'm losing the Bold law. Pressure.
No pressure, no diamonds.
No pressure, no diamonds. Good. Thank you. No pressure, no diamonds, right? Diamonds are created under pressure, right? We all know that you perform better under pressure. Pressure is where you build muscle. Pressure is where you're going out of town and you got to pack at the last minute and get all this stuff figured out, and you always figure it out, and you work at peak performance under stress, right? So what kind of stress are you putting yourself under, right? Are you imposing any type of kind of rule or target or goal where you're gonna, hey, I'm gonna call 5 FSBOs today no matter what, and that feels pressure, right? I'm gonna study my scripts for an hour, and that you feel the pressure. I'm gonna do 10 more push-ups even though my arms are dead, right? That feels like pressure. That's where the movement happens, guys. So I want you to think about that concept of pressure this weekend. How can I put myself under a little bit more stress, a little bit more pressure? I'm not saying go crazy. I'm just saying we want to get you closer and closer to peak performance. And peak performance is going to come when you feel pressure. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. One last thing I want to go over with you is this idea of, we don't have a ton of time to talk about it today, but I want to start spending some time talking about farming. Okay. Now, farming in the conventional way with postcards and all that stuff is is you know, got its pros and got its cons, certainly. And remember, we can address we can either use our time for prospecting and lead generation, or our money, or both, right? What I want you to be spending time on right now is your time, not your money, right? We have unemployment in our country of close to 20%. Now's the time to spend time, not money. Okay, there's a lot of unknowns going on right now. So what I want you to start doing is thinking about doing some research, and I want you to pick at least one neighborhood. I want you to target, let's say, about 100 homes, roughly. Could be more, could be a little less, but let's target around 100 homes. Could be multiple neighborhoods. And how am I going to start to get some exposure in these neighborhoods? First, I want to pick it, right? I want to make sure the turnover is there. And then I want to start talking about, you know, dropping off some short CMAs, or putting together a little one sheet about the market stats in that neighborhood, and dropping it off the doorstep, and then calling them the week, you know, a few days later. I want to start creating some lead generation systems around listings specifically. Make sense? So this weekend, I want you to think a little bit about what does that neighborhood look like? Is it close to me? Is it not close to me? I'll be honest with you, I didn't personally like marketing in my neighborhood, because I worked from home a lot, and people knew what car I drove. And like, if I was sitting there, they're like, this dude ain't even working. Right? So there's no rule that says you have to market your own neighborhood. Right? So I picked a neighborhood that was between about 300 and 450 that was turning over, right? Minimum of 6%, let's say 6-7%. So we're going to go through a lot of those details, but I want to start to create some strategies and real day-to-day activities around finding more listings. Okay.
Would we mail those CMAs or those market
No, I would drop
snapshots?
those off.
Okay.
I would use your shoe leather. Drop them off.
Okay.
Walk around the neighborhood like Donna's been doing. Meet people. Give them
Bill?
put their information into the system.
Bill,
Yeah.
I have different accountability people, and I have somebody that I'm working with on scripts, but I would like somebody to work with for a week to a week and a half, to work specifically on someone that has a little experience, that I can be the seller or the buyer, and they can be the agent to help me get to feel like I have a little experience in those meetings where I'm presenting things.
Cool. We have a few people on the call who would like to volunteer. I'm looking at Andrew and Donna. If you do not have an accountability partner / script partner, I want you to find one in the next 20 minutes. And Heather's raising her hand. Who wants to be her partner?
I'll practice some scripts.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Okay.
So, Andrew, I don't know if your information is on the WhatsApp group, but I'm fully there. So you can see me there if you want to. Are you?
Yeah, I actually just figured out this morning that my WhatsApp notifications must be turned off. I must have turned them off a long time ago and just didn't realize it before I was even doing this.
So Andrew told me he's 100% committed to being in real estate. So he's got a good partner.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
I'm writing down all the scripts you've said on this thing. It's very interesting.
Awesome. I'm going to keep the room open for those that would like to do some role play and script practice right now, or just get on the telephone and do your lead gen. We do have our launch. Oh, I'm sorry, wrong day. We have our growth mastermind today at 1 o'clock, just prior to Bolt. Okay, so y'all have a great weekend. If you need anything, let me know, and I appreciate every one of you. I'll talk to you soon.
I do have one more question for you, Joe.
Yeah.
So on this lead script practice, you said the best way was to go to the Google Drive and the agent pivot scripts on there.
Yeah.
Is that where they're all at?
Yeah, there's a category called, there's like a tab called, or a folder, I guess they call it, called scripts. And to be honest, I can't remember if I put the agent pivot scripts in there, but they're in the Google Drive either way.
Okay.
Okay.
Good. Okay.
Andrew?
Yes.
In the WhatsApp group with the participants, I don't see one that has your names like
Really?
with the profile filled out, so I don't know which number is yours.
Which
group.
which phone number?
All right, I'm going to go to the leadership meeting. I'll be back in a few minutes.
Thank you.